You are now listening to the M.K.P podcast.
Hello, and welcome to episode 15 of the Matt Cush Pool podcast.
Hey, M.K.P, come on, M.K.P.
M.K.P podcast.
Hi.
We are your hosts, Matt. I'm gonna wait for him to say his name.
Sorry, I was looking at something quickly and I got distracted. Sorry, but me.
Describe.
Sorry, I was looking at something quickly. But yep, it's me, Cash.
And the Pigatron 3000 in the corner.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Very special episode today, boys.
Absolutely.
So we teased it last week on the YouTube video with the little edits. And this week we're doing it. This is the most different episode we've ever done so far. No tier lists, no news sections, no games at the end, no nothing. Today we are doing conspiracy theories.
Dun, dun.
Now, a few disclaimers before we start. Of course, we need to be quite careful with some of the things we say today because we don't want to anger anyone, I guess. But because I feel like so first of all, before we start, we are going to present three main conspiracy theories to each other, and then we're going to have a sort of topic and discussion about it. And we don't actually know which conspiracy theory each of us has brought to the table today. So there could be some sensitive discussions or topics in here. We are not here to blatantly say this theory is correct, this theory is bullshit. Anyone who believes this is a moron, anyone who believes this is the coming of Jesus Christ himself. We are simply here to look at these theories and give sort of our thoughts and opinions on them and discuss why people believe them, if that makes sense. Because we all just like conspiracy theory. I don't know if there's anyone out there I've ever met that doesn't like a good old conspiracy theory.
I mean, they're interesting, aren't they? They're like a story. It's amazing.
Some of them are very interesting, and some of them are just batshit insane, and they all are very entertaining.
Gets a lot of people guessing. They're just like everyone's talking about it and everything, and it just gets even more bigger and bigger depending on what topic it is and everything. What the conspiracy theory is and that.
Yeah. So, I believe we should be ready to start. Who'd like to go first?
I don't mind, that.
We can do M.K.P. order, or we can just go with whoever wants to go first. Really, we don't really have an order for today.
All right, let's go for the M.K.P. order. I say that'll be fun. Let's go with
You want to go M.K.P. order? I feel like mine's a very deep one to start with, but we can start with mine.
I mean, mine is something as well, but mine's really interesting as well. But we can go with yours actually, Matt. Go, Matt. Yours.
M.K.P. order.
M.K.P. order makes sense.
Mine's very deep one to start with. My conspiracy theory, boys, are around the moon landings.
Oh, I'm loving this already.
Were they real or were they fake?
Dun, dun, dun.
So before we start, I should mention as well, when I read through about this theory, this is one I've always been very interested in. When I read through and about this theory, there are kind of two sides to this. So there's people who straight up believe we didn't go to the moon, it never happened, it's all fake and bullshit. And then on the other side, there's the belief that we did go to the moon, but we didn't actually record it, or we lost footage for it. So all the footage that was broadcast is all faked footage.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's quite interesting.
So there's multiple sides to it. And there's little sort of bits with the footage that make you wonder, is this real or was this faked? So I'm not really... I guess we can start with sort of... This one is a very big conspiracy. So there's a lot of people who believe this one. I'd almost argue this is up there with things like Flat Earth and other like Illuminati ones that are massive. So I feel like a part of the reason why is a lot of this has to do with some of it is quite political. with this theory as well. So the moon landings, 1969. So at the time in sort of the world with like America and whatnot, this was coming just a few years after the assassination of JFK in 1963.
Oh,
so,
right. Okay.
John F. Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas, and Richard Nixon is sworn in as president.
Yes.
Richard Nixon is notoriously one of the most corrupt presidents in the history of the United States. So that's already where some people start to think, well, there's nothing that man would try and not do for like good publicity at the time. And as well, another major component in this is the space race that was going on at the time. So coming about 20 years after World War II. And I believe coming after the Cold War as well, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
During the war.
Well, yeah, probably during or around sort of the time of the Cold War. There was the space race between Russia and America.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, if we're going to be honest, it was kind of a bit of a dick measuring contest in that they both wanted to be the superior country when it came to space travel at the time, and both were trying to send people into space. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Russia is like, "Oh yeah, we got Yuri Gagarin into space, first man in space, supposedly." Yeah,
Right.
there'll be people who tell you that didn't happen. So, and then that continues. Russia gets the first person into space. The stuff sending rockets and satellites up continues, and then out of nowhere in 1969, Apollo 11 goes up, and NASA has put 2 men on the moon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a lot of people have the belief of like it was kind of just America trying to be like, yes, we're superior. We put people on the moon. Fuck Russia, essentially.
Screw Russia.
And that'll be where a lot of people's skepticism comes in with the moon landings.
Mm.
There's loads of other like little tidbits here and there. Something a lot of people point out, and this probably is easier explained, and I have seen some explanations for this. So the human race went to the moon multiple times between 1969 and 1970. It wasn't like it wasn't just straight up like we sent Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong up, and then that was it. After that, there were a couple more between 69 and 70.
Yeah.
And then ever since 1970, we've never put another person on the moon. It was almost like it was a one and done. That's it. Don't need to go back there.
Yeah.
Done it now. Mars is next.
I can see the suspicion in that, to be honest.
Yeah. When like it's space, we don't know how just having 2 people walk around on the moon for a bit. We still don't know everything we could know about the moon.
Yeah.
But it's almost like we did it and then that was enough. And it was like, why in how many years since 1970 have we not attempted to put another person on the moon? There are a few explanations from NASA regarding this, such as it's not to do with money and technology, and that NASA could very much go and put someone on the moon again if they wanted to. The problem, I think, comes in more with politics.
Yeah.
Apparently, reportedly, the Trump administration actually had plans for another lunar mission by 2024.
Yeah.
Thing is, that probably won't happen anymore because, as we know, the Trump administration is no longer running that country.
Unless he comes back, but that'll mean 2028. So
yeah. Plus, how much of Donald Trump are we really going to believe here? The guy bullshitted about most of his presidency and didn't really do anything he promised.
Yeah. So imagine setting him. Jesus Christ! Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Do you really believe what he says, or? But yeah, it's like there's a few other things as well. A major thing that people point out with the moon landings and why they don't think they happened is something. So there's a big old radiation belt that was discovered in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
something called the Van Allen radiation belt, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not going to get into all the specifics of it because I don't know science, so I can't really get into all the specifics of a radiation belt for you. But I believe scientists theorize that if a human tried to pass through this radiation belt, we'd essentially be vaporized immediately. There is the thing with spacesuits as well, so we don't know how well those were. And obviously, at the time, NASA would have been sending rockets up, so they probably would have found a way to get past it. But some people still believe we don't even have the capability to pass through that now. So that's that. I do believe there would be a way of getting around it, though. I don't believe we wouldn't be able to get through it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the technology we've progressed in the past 20 years is amazing.
It's more of a, I feel like with a lot of people, it's more of a case of maybe now we'd have the technology to get through it, but in 1969, did they have the technology to pass through that radiation belt?
Yeah.
There's also another thing that's like, so they took cameras up with, according to the NASA story and the story of the moon landings, they went up with cameras. Specifically, it has been supposedly documented they took color cameras up to the moon. However, the only images of the moon's surface that were ever broadcast were black and white and done with a black and white camera. So there's all that mix up there, and then you also add in the radiation belt. And if humans would have been vaporized by that radiation belt, then it's a case of surely the film they sent up to space as well would have been completely destroyed going up. And potentially the cameras probably as well. Because, I mean, you think about cameras in 1969 compared to now, it's like...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if they weren't vaporized, they would have been melted and destroyed.
Yeah, the film would have been completely destroyed going up and going back as well. But it's like, that's kind of where the other side of the theory comes in, that we did go to space. Like, we got humans through that radiation belt, but film couldn't survive it. So there's the idea that we then footage was filmed in a recreation, was filmed in like a studio or something, and then put out to the public saying, "Yeah, this is the real footage of the moon's surface."
So is the footage like out there right now? Like, is
there is footage out there. However, here's another thing: is that a lot of, I believe, a lot of like footage of the real. A lot of footage of the moon landing, a lot of the original footage has actually been lost over the years.
Okay,
so you can still find bits and pieces. You can still find certain bits of footage, but I believe a lot of it was lost. Obviously, there's still footage out there because how monumental of an event it is.
Yeah.
There's a few other little tidbits I jotted down as I was reading through as well, such as like. There was a documentary made, and in that documentary, there's a supposed leaked footage reel of a camera crew working on Apollo 11, creating a fake view of space from like a set of a rocket. Which, I mean, that can be faked in itself. It's supposedly filmed in 1969, and these are supposedly NASA employees, but it's like, you don't know if that footage is real or not because it's just out of context. Then in a set which looks like the Apollo 11 rocket creating a fake view of the moon, so you never know if that's real or if that's
another conspiracy in itself, really, isn't it?
You don't know if someone faked that to like someone against someone who believes in the moon land. I don't know. It's weird. There's also like sort of weird things you notice in some of the moon landing footage, such as like just the way sort of like the astronauts move around is very. I know it's obviously like moon gravity and stuff, but all of the way they move around all looks very odd. And some people who believe that the landings were fake will tell you that's not how you'd move around on the moon. There is one thing that was noted to me as I was reading through, is that in all the footage and photos you see, where they're planting the flag into the moon?
Yes.
Yeah.
American flag. A lot of the stuff that I saw noted was that you can clearly see the flag waving, like when they put it down, like the flag's up. And I saw it pointed out that like space is a vacuum, so there's no wind in space. So how is the flag flying? If you get what I mean, how is it like
Yeah.
that in the
But
footage
things
when space is a
do
vacuum? And there's
float.
no...
It's things would float in space. That's the only thing. But it's sort of like the Superman argument. Like, you know, in Superman films, his cape flaps, and it's like you're in space, man. There is no wind.
Yeah.
This weird
Like you
one.
said, like it's like it's space and the gravity and stuff. So yeah, the flag could be just flying because of low gravity or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know it was something they very much pointed out in like, well, I know there's some people who said, well, this footage here was clearly shot with just like wind blowing on to make sure you could clearly see the American flag being planted on the moon. So like they put a fan and blew it, and it's like. Like, people get deep into the belief that, like, these didn't happen.
Yeah.
I can see why people say it won't happen because, you know, for the past, everything that happened, you know.
Yeah. There's also a thing of a lot of people believe that, like, so US taxpayer money goes to some of US taxpayers' money goes into NASA. And they believe that, like, NASA's not doing anything with it. So they'll say, like, the landings were fake and they want NASA to be like defunded and whatnot. So, you know, it's all sort of, it's all. There was another thing pointed out as well, is that it's reportedly took Apollo 11 astronauts 3 days to get from Earth to the moon. Which sounds like a long time and is. However, I believe it's been said that, like, to get from Earth to the moon would be 9 days of travel and not 3. So,
right.
Yeah, so it's all very. There's all these like little bits and pieces that people will point out to say this is why it was fake. This is why this isn't right. That's not right.
Yeah.
I can definitely see where they're coming from, because the thing is as well, like, we've never been on the moon. We just don't. You just can't know, can you? Really? You've just got to trust NASA. You've got to trust.
Well, it's like, as the public, we can only believe what's presented. The only people who will ever know for sure were the people who, you know, went there and the people who worked on the lunar mission. I think where I stand is, like, I believe we did go to the moon, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see the side people will present when they say we went to the moon, but all the footage was destroyed, so we had to recreate some of it.
I'm actually the same thing with you, actually.
I can believe that more than just straight up. Like, I'd rather not believe we didn't go to the moon. I'd rather believe we did, but I can kind of get behind the idea that we went and the footage was all lost and destroyed, so it was recreated.
I can see that.
That sort of being the case, to be honest.
I could see that definitely happening as well, because I believe we did go on them. I think we did go on them.
Again, like, I'm not saying that's true either. Like, straight up, like, the footage we see could just actually be the moon's surface, and this could be all bullshit.
Yeah.
I believe there are also like scientific reasons as to how we got through the Van Allen radiation belt, because that's the sticking point for a lot of people. Is like, we should not have been able to get through that radiation belt, especially not in 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem with the radiation belt, though, is I know you said about it was a long time ago, but everyone who's ever gone to space surely would have been vaporized if there was a radiation belt, and it just...
Yeah, well, that's why it's a difficult sticking point, but it's one we will really stick with.
Yeah.
People who, like, straight up believe these didn't happen, but it's like, we've clearly been into space since then, so it's like it's been live broadcasted before going into space, like, so.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Tough one.
And there are, like, images, like, because I've been to, like, NASA and stuff, and there are, like, clearly real images of people flying around in space, and like you see the craftsmanship in those rockets and stuff, and it's like, I really like we're not like it's like some people like will adamantly believe that we can't go to space, but I do think we can, like absolutely. So
yeah, no, it's like I came into this thinking that I wouldn't believe anything, but some of the points that they're making are fair points, I'll admit.
I don't think with this theory, I think there's a lot of believability in this conspiracy theory. It's not like something like flat earthers where you can clearly tell that it's like, no, it's just rubbish and
High enough to see the curvature of the Earth. It's not
it's not like you can just look out the window and see the curvature. It's like definitely not. It's not like you can literally just look out your bedroom window and prove that the Earth is round. I do kind of see the believability in this one. What do you guys think though? What are your thoughts?
Say the same. Yeah. What? Say the same what you said before, Matt. I say like, we definitely did go into space for sure. I think we have, and then the video footage was lost, and they did like a recreation of it after. Can definitely exceed that.
Yeah,
but I want to know what people.
I do feel like it's also a little bit weird though that they wouldn't just come out and say. I know that if they said it, then people would be like, "Oh, well, you didn't go then." But I do kind of feel like it's a little bit weird that they didn't say, "We went to space. Here's some proof we went to space."
Yeah.
Footage and camera capability is not at the point it is. Yeah, to film going to space. So this is a recreation of what happened.
Yeah.
But I know at the time in 1969, it probably could have been a case of, oh, well, we don't believe it unless you show us you on space or something like that. I don't.
Attacks as well. People might get angry that perhaps.
Yeah. Thing is, as well, is like none of us, obviously, none of us were around in 1969, so we can't really comment on what. No. We can only go by what we're told by history. We can't like explicitly tell you what the world was like in 1969 and 1970.
Yeah.
And so
happened during that time as well. Like, you mentioning, Jeff Kennedy's death and everything.
Yeah. It's the stuff with Nixon as well. It's like
because of it's the Watergate scandal, isn't it?
There's a lot of dodgy stuff regarding Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
And it's like I can see why people would try to lump this in as well. It's just like a way for him to get good publicity or to be remembered, and
it's so interesting though. This is such
interesting. That kind of wraps up though all my notes and points for this one. So moon landing. I told you I was going to start with a deep one, boys.
That is pretty deep.
a very major one.
Yeah, it's a deep and a really political sort of like one.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting.
Thing is, we went to the moon, and then the people didn't like us, told us to never come back. That's why we haven't come back. The aliens there told us they hated us. Don't come back.
Leave us alone. This is our rock.
This is our rock in the sky.
I get how you would lose footage. Like, you got the footage recorded, done. Pack the equipment and then just take it home with you.
Yeah, it's a case of like passing through the radiation belts in our atmosphere. Even if it wasn't like the Van Allen one, which people talk about here with this, is like there's all the other sorts of radiation and whatnot in our atmosphere, and it's like
your rocket burns at about 4,000 degrees. That's not as hot.
Yeah, so it's like it's very likely that a lot of like film reel, because like obviously digital cameras wouldn't have existed at the time. They would have been using like early film reel cameras, not early film reel characters, but like not as advanced as say film reel cameras you'd get in like the 80s or the 90s, for example. So it's like you would have. It is like there is a likelihood in that the film reel would have been destroyed, but it's neither here or there. I believe we did go to the moon.
But
I can see the believability in this conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
I can
definitely.
also agree with that as well. Yeah.
Moving on then. M.K.P or Kush, would you like to present your conspiracy theory?
Right. So my
you mentioned something about one of yours being creepy, so I'm very interested.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
This is a bit of a creepy one, and I actually have the video on YouTube which I want to show as well on this. So basically,
We'll link this video in the description for this episode.
yeah, I really hope you know about this story. So it's got a bit of story to it before we move on to what the conspiracy is and that. So it's about Alyssa Lamb's disappearance. I don't know if any of you have heard of her.
I don't know anything about this one, so please enlighten me.
Right. Okay, you guys. Okay, this is an interesting one because so basically, there's a student named Alyssa Lamb. She goes to she's 21 years of age. She goes into like a hotel in LA and everything. She's traveling across like the US and that. She's from like Canada or something. And basically, there was some like, and the hotel that she stayed at was very sketchy. Like there was so many like sketchy things that happened. Apparently, I heard there were it's like drugs and everything that was happening there. There was it was just really odd stuff that was happening. Like the hotel reviews, like I'm pretty certain that when I saw the reviews and everything, they were like pretty odd and everything. So basically, there's this woman that so Alyssa Lamb basically stays at this hotel, and what happens that there's actually a video footage which I'm about to show you now. I'll actually show you now before we move on to it, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. So let me actually pop it up.
I feel like I might know this one now.
Yeah,
think about it.
It is ringing a bell.
This one does ring a bell.
Yeah, you might know. There is a. I don't know if you can see my screen.
It's loading.
It's loading, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
You can both see it. Yeah? Okay, so this is the video that I'll show you now. So this was her, Alyssa Lamb, in the.
Don't tell me the security footage cuts out.
No,
No, I think I know this one. This is where she like the elevator goes up and she starts to get all frantic and panicked.
Yeah.
With like no reason as to why she should be.
Yeah. So as you tell, I was really confused. Like when I remember seeing this, and I was I heard about this way past, and then when I heard there's actually a documentary series on Netflix, and it's literally called what's the documentary series called? I think it's
Alicia Lamb, is it?
It's literally called Don't Fuck with Cats in 2019.
Oh, that one. I remember that.
Yeah, I did see that one when that came out. Yeah,
the documentary came out this year, like in like February or something. There's like 4 episodes on it, like talking about this entire event, everything. Basically,
yeah. So what we're seeing in the video is a woman in an elevator. She started off quite normal. She walked into this elevator, pressed the button. But now she's like constantly getting in and out of the elevator and looking around. It's very frantic and weird behavior. And we can't see any reason as to why she would be doing this.
Yeah.
Going back into the elevator now, she looks almost like she's crying if you look at her face there for a second.
Yeah, she's pressing all these buttons and everything in the lift and all that right now.
Yeah, she's pressing multiple buttons. She's gotten back out of the air. She hasn't moved floors either since the elevator got there. She's
standing right next to it. That's
what
weird.
I'm thinking here. Watching this is the elevator not working? Because surely it would have.
Yeah.
Surely it would have moved by now.
Yeah.
You're talking to someone there.
It looks almost like she might be talking to someone off screen, but we can't. She's making all sort of hand signs and stuff.
Yeah.
With her hands right now, almost as if she's trying to do like sign language or something.
This is actually pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
We just cut to black. And that's it. And then we got
doing
that.
everything. But yeah.
Yeah. And then when she found dead in
19 days after that video footage, she was found dead in the she was found dead in the hotel water tank like rooftop.
Oh really?
Yeah, she drowned she was there and she drowned in the water tank on the roof.
Yeah.
19 days after. So
that's dark.
So yeah, it's really dark. And there's a whole Netflix documentary on it, 4 episodes on it, like all 50 minutes long and everything, just talking about the entire thing, talking about a disappearance and everything, talking about what may have happened and everything. And the conspiracy now is like everyone thinks it's like everyone thinks it's just like ghosts and everything like that. Like the hotel's haunted and everything like that. But there's also been stuff saying that maybe she was dealing with she was like
mental health issues and stuff.
The history of that. It seems a bit like maybe schizophrenic. It just seems
it does look like very bizarre stuff she's doing in the video.
Yeah.
It starts normal and she just gets like rapidly stranger as it goes.
Yeah.
So what do you think happened? What do you think happened, Kush? Well, what's your takeaway from it?
What do you think?
My take on it. So basically, when I watched the documentary series on Netflix, it was one I watched it, but what I think happened was I think she was just dealing with like something in mental health. That's honestly what I think. I think she was. I think like everyone's saying it was all like ghosts and everything like that. I think apparently people also said like, oh yeah, she might have been getting chased or something like that and everything. And apparently in that footage, there's something that I remember that apparently in the footage there's actually someone like outside the elevator. Apparently you see their feet or something.
Really?
Apparently
it does look in the video like she's speaking to someone.
Yeah. Apparently,
because there's a point where she's outside the elevator and it almost looks like she's making like I said like she's doing hand signs or something, or like she's making sign language or something. Like she's doing all these like motions with her hands and stuff. And
there was I think there was a hotel manager that also talked about it because when she was her name is Amy Price. So she was the hotel manager at the time when the whole thing happened and everything like that. She gave her insight to it. She just said stuff like how she was shocked by it. She's like, I've never had this happen before, like, and everything, and like it happened to her, and it's just shocking to see and everything like that. That's all she said.
A lot of care for the person.
That is a creepy one, to be fair. Like,
that is a very.
Did you say it was 19 days after the video came out?
Yeah. So after this footage,
why? So my question there is, why did it take so long before they started? Because surely they would have had on record that she was still staying there 19 days after she first paid to stay.
Yeah.
So my question is, why did it take them so long to try and track her down and realize that she'd gone missing? And then, I mean, I know she's in the water tank. So...
Did she have any family there, or was she just there on her own?
No. She went there. She went to LA. She went to LA to explore like America and everything. She went to she was going to go places around America, and she went to LA and she stayed at the hotel.
Yeah.
She just went by herself. It was just.
Because I see what Matt's saying. Because surely, there's the thing as well. Like you call your family if you're away and message them regularly, surely, and they would have reported it long before.
I guess the thing could have been like, because I don't know the ins and outs of this. I guess it could have been like a few days after they discovered she wasn't still paying for the hotel, they thought she'd still be there because she never checked out. They went to go find her in a room, didn't find her, and then 19 days later, when they were like doing something with the water tank or something, that's when they discovered the body.
Maybe, yeah.
So it could have been like that, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm personally just thinking she had mental health issues. I don't want to offend anyone.
Isn't it a thing of like, was it a suicide or
that's what
I'm thinking.
well?
No, I honestly think, like, for me, I think it was generally mental health and everything like that. Because, like, she was staying there by herself and everything, and like, she was staying there by herself. So I thought it was just mental health, but I also knew that in the documentaries and everything, they mentioned about how the hotel was already sketchy and everything like that and everything already.
Yeah,
like people were there doing drugs and everything like that.
Hallucinating or something, maybe.
That's what another thing as well. Yeah, like there was something to do with like she was hallucinating.
It's a thing of like we're talking about like schizophrenia and stuff. When you talk about like how like drugs were being done in the hotel and whatnot, could she have herself been on something when this happened?
That's the thing as well. Like we don't know and any bit. But that was.
I guess you're not really going to know the ins and outs unless you are unless you're Elisa Lam, but
But yeah, it was. But the whole thing that really shocked me was like you guys were shocked about it. Like 19 days after as well. I'm so confused on how it.
It just seems like a very that's like more than half a month.
Literally,
and the discovery. So it's like.
It's very suspicious, isn't it? The time period here.
I'm not too sure if the hotel actually runs right now. I don't think it does. I don't think so because I think it's just I think it's just a bad now actually.
Probably too much bad publicity and stuff, and then this wouldn't have helped it in the slightest.
The reviews were something as well. Like apparently, when I was watching a documentary, people were like, "Oh yeah, if people mentioned about like this hotel."
It seems to me as well like it might have also been quite a poorly managed hotel.
I'm getting.
It was. But
you know, you always see like the Gordon Ramsay programs where he goes to a hotel, it's all like a shithole, and like there's.
I love Gordon Ramsay.
How do we know this wasn't one of those?
The elevator wasn't working, did it? So I think it looks like it was poorly run.
Yeah. And I also want to know what was going on with that elevator because that elevator seemed like it had dodgy issues to me as well because like she was pressing the buttons on the elevator and the thing wasn't moving or doing anything. I know she kept getting out of it, but like there was like at first there was almost like a good minute or so between her pressing the button for a floor and then her getting out the elevator and it just was not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, what was going on with that elevator as well, man?
And surely if she's like standing outside the elevator is just closed and everything like that. Like it doesn't really make any sense at all.
Elevator,
when people say about was it a murder, there's a thing of like, was she? I guess something it could have been is was she pressing the buttons on inside the elevator? Was someone else pressing the buttons on the outside to stop it from moving anywhere?
No, I didn't think about that. That's a good point, mate. It's a good point.
Was someone specifically targeting her, or you never know. You never know. It's a weird, it's a creepy one that is though.
It's really odd. I would actually recommend watching the Netflix series.
I think I might.
Yeah,
really, really good. It's really good. I really enjoyed watching it. I think.
But no, that's a weird one. That is.
I like that.
Pretty messed up.
Yeah. So I think with that, Paul, it is time for you, mate.
Wow! I've got to. Those two are really good, so I've got to try and perform here. Right. So basically, mine's kind of there's two conspiracies, and one is basically evolving around Princess Diana's death. So this is a deep one. So I'm not meaning to offend anyone who believes these conspiracy theories. Doesn't if you don't want to be offended by it, turn away now. I'm not trying to offend anyone. So the first basically says that Diana faked her own death because obviously, if you know much about her, you know that the media, didn't like her very much. She didn't get on with the media very well, and some of the evidence to suggest that she did this is her bodyguard is still alive, and they didn't use the driver that they were supposed to use. They used someone called M.K.P, and he was actually brought in last minute. So it seems a bit suspicious that at the last minute they thought, let's get another driver. And it's a weird one. Also, co-workers at the hotel that they all stayed at in Paris said that the security officer, Henry Paul, was a weird person, was quite reserved and was quite to himself. So that, I think this one's quite an interesting one. The next one's quite far-fetched, but what do you guys think of this one so far?
It's odd, because I don't know, because I think I don't know.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Yeah. I honestly don't think she did fake her own death. I think. I know, obviously, the media. Yeah, the media was.
It's very crappy towards
about.
Yeah, they were very
back then.
anti-Diana.
It was. Yeah. I haven't spoken about this. But yeah, I don't think she actually did fake her death and everything. I mean, wasn't there? Wasn't there? I remember there was a discussion back, like a while back ago, like it was like I think it was like last year or so, where everyone said that, oh yeah, she faked her own death and blah 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 and everything like that. But I honestly don't think she did.
I agree, because I on some of the blogs that I was reading, they were saying why it's not likely, and I think the thing is she loved her kids a lot, so why she would want to go away and leave them, it just seems a bit unlikely. From that perspective. But it is a tough one though, isn't it? It's a really tough one.
Yeah, that's
and the whole royal family now, like they're just. I know they are a bit sketchy and everything like that, but they are generally sketchy. But fuck it. I honestly don't think she did. I didn't.
No.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think she did.
I don't know if I believe. Yeah, I'm kind of like, because I don't know if I believe the idea that she faked her own death, just because like you can clearly tell she loved her children very much. So it's like, would she have faked her own death? Like, because they'll clearly tell you like their mother is dead, and like at the funeral you can clearly see how like heartbroken. I believe like when you watch like the funeral and stuff, you can see just how like heartbroken they are. So I don't know if I don't know if I really back the idea that like she faked her own death, but like the one you said with the bodyguard, that's very interesting.
That's the bit that
I didn't know that.
That's the bit that gets me. He was whisked in last minute. He was very, and the thing is as well is the bodyguard survived while she obviously her and her boyfriend at the time died, and then the driver was whisked. It's weird stuff, but could just be coincidence. That's the thing.
See why people would say, this was fake and everything, just because the driver survived and everything like that. But
it's a tough one.
Look, like, I still believe, I still believe that. She passed away and everything, like car crash and everything like that. And
well, prepare guys, because I'm going to tell you the second one. This one's quite interesting. This one needs a bit of background. So basically, she had a boyfriend at the time. His name was Dodi. He was the son of this guy called Mohammed, and I'm going to try and get this word right, Al-Fayed. He's basically a Egyptian businessman. And
my god! Oh no!
Yeah, this is where it gets spicy.
No! I think I know where this is coming.
You know this one.
I think I just know where this is. Like, I can feel where this might be going.
You can guess, can't you? Basically, obviously, he owned a shop called Harrods between 1985 and 2010, and obviously a bunch of other like businesses. And being a businessman, it's quite a battle. You obviously make a few enemies. and the theory is that they killed his son to get revenge, and also because his son would obviously take over the business once he had died. But they used his death for a cover-up.
Yeah.
Which this one's deep. This one's really deep. What do you think of that? Because that can make a plot for a movie. That's just insane.
Oh, it's just that I can see that, it's such a movie sort of thing, like such a.
That sounds like something like James Bond or something.
Yeah, literally. I know, this is why I'm being careful. If we got to be careful here because this one is very deep.
Yeah, that's very mad.
That's very, very. But yeah, so Chris, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that's true? Are you thinking that's kind of somewhat the truth?
See, somewhat true, probably. Maybe, but nah.
It's a shocking one, isn't it? It's made you speechless.
It's just business, though, and it's with the Egyptians and everything like the Egyptian business.
There's some suspicion to it as well, yeah.
What year is this again? Wait, what year is this around?
Like right there, that is like.
What year is this around? Like 19? What was it again?
She died. Well, I think the crash was. I don't know if the crash was on the day she died, but she died 31st of August, 1997.
Did you say it was? Well, going back a bit, did you say the shop he owned was Harrods?
It was Harrods, yeah.
That is. Harrods is like a very sort of high-end store in like London. I know there's probably a few others around the world, but like especially in London, it's all very like expensive home furniture, design stuff. So there's got to be if he was owning Harrods, there's got to be a lot of money involved there as well. So it's like you add that in as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's dodgy. I don't know how I like that one, boys.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I read on some blogs again is what makes it unlikely is that obviously if you're gonna kill the Princess of Wales, right? You're gonna have the Paris police on your case. You're gonna have everyone on your case. It's too big a risk. I think that's the only thing that puts off. But then again, these are businessmen. They have a lot of power, so it's
Then again, businessman running Harrods, a lot of money involved there. How much power would he have had?
Yeah, it's probably more powerful than like the government in many ways. So it's
money talks, man.
Exactly. It's a difficult one.
But
yeah, I've made you speechless, haven't I? Because those
that
one's deep. That is.
I just came talk about some like dodgy footage of astronauts jumping around,
and we just went from dark to
monies and like that.
I'm always the controversial one, though. This is me, isn't it? I'm always the controversial.
All right, well, that's it for our main three theories. To move into something a bit lighter, Kush, we're going to move into bonus conspiracy theories. Conspiracies and theories now. Kush, you said you had sort of like a movie-related one.
Oh,
I as well. I do actually have a movie-related theory, or like an idea that's been passed around. It's not really a conspiracy, but it's one that some people believe and some people say is made up waffle. So I can go with that in a minute, but because you said you had one.
Yeah,
let's yours first.
Let me go have a look at the find the article quickly about it, if that's right. Yeah, because my mate mentioned. If I can find it. This kind of when my mate told me about, my mate actually told me about this, and when I heard about this, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But okay, so the theory is that the actor from Home Alone, Kevin,
Macaulay Culkin.
Apparently, he became the serial killer known as Jigsaw after the first two Home Alone films.
Oh, wait, really?
You know how he like puts traps and everything like that and everything. This is what my mate told me about. But apparently, there's a theory out there that people think that he might
Okay,
have been the
if that's true, that
killer
ruins my childhood.
later
But that's
on.
I've seen a few things like
After
that, though.
those
Like
two
in
films.
movies, like weird
That's-
connections between
yeah.
movies that shouldn't have any connections. Like there's one I
Yeah.
saw that's like in Transformers, the first one, 2007. There's
Like,
a bully character who at the start of the movies, his name's Trent, and he's bullying Shia LaBeouf's character. And what's funnily enough is the actor who played the bully appears in another film. He appears in one of the Halloween films.
oh god,
Mike Myers, whatnot,
yeah.
where he plays again a bully type character who gets murdered. Now,
Yeah.
what's weird about that is that his character from Transformers and his character from Halloween have the exact same names.
Oh, your joke.
ooh.
And it's the idea there is apparently it's the same character, meaning that if that's to be believed, the Transformers movies and the Halloween movies take place in the same universe,
Oh my god!
despite
Wait,
having no connections.
wait, what year was this? But what Halloween movie was it? Do you know?
That's a point, actually. What one
So
was it?
I think it might have been Halloween 4. Let me search up and I'll find the actors' names. You can look him up on IMDb.
Oh,
And then look up his roles in Transformers and in Halloween, and he plays like the same. He plays the same character. It's so weird.
I need to see this. Hold on, I need to see this.
'Cause he's like such a minor character, but it's like that's so weird that like what they were setting up connected universes before Marvel. If that's the case, like Jesus.
Oh, I hope for the case of Home Alone, then it's not true. It's awesome.
It's not Halloween. It's Friday the 13th from 2009. So the actor's name is Travis Van Winkle. You search him up on IMDb, and then look at his roles on Friday the 13th and Transformers. He plays the same character in these two movies that should have no connection. It's so weird.
His name again?
Travis Van Winkle.
Oh, okay. If I go look at
It's literally like his top two movies unknown for.
Transformers. Which Transformers? The first one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one from 2007. Transformers 2007, which isn't a good movie, isn't a bad movie. It's just a movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a movie.
It exists.
It exists.
That's the only thing is this Travis guy is an American actor best known for playing Transformers and Friday the 13th. That's his two main roles.
Yeah.
That's so
It's
funny.
like when you look at the characters he plays, same character.
That's
Holy shit! Oh my god!
I just can't get over his last name though. Winkle.
Van Winkle.
Hello,
What?
Winkle. Yeah.
What?
I've
Hello,
got
Mr.
the
Winkle.
best last name, so I can't really say much.
Oh, we're such children.
I know. No, I'm never gonna grow up.
That's
But
actually,
yeah, that was another one I saw that was kind of like that Kevin McAllister one that you mentioned.
yeah. My mate told me about this.
I can see that Kevin one now. Actually, thinking about it, because like Saw's all based around like he's put together all these death traps.
Yeah.
What does he do in Home Alone and Home Alone 2? He damn near kills the robbers, which has these death trap houses.
Yeah.
Especially in the second one, you know, the second one he just drops bricks onto their heads.
Yeah, he's It's like Darth Vader. He starts young and he works his way up. It's
Yeah. That's
He goes from like slight maiming and injury to straight up murder. Kid's a psychopath.
oh my god. I would love this, but I would love this theory. I'd love this.
I have that wasn't the movie-based theory I have. I do have one more. It's not really a conspiracy theory per se. These movie ones aren't really. These are just fun ones that we want to bring up.
Okay.
But I do have one more that I thought was very interesting, and nobody quite knows whether this is real or not. So, have you two heard the theory of Andy's dad from Toy Story?
Oh,
Probably, but you'll have to remind me.
Strap yourselves in for this one, boys. This could be a movie in its own right. This could.
Oh, this could be.
This Pixar needs to get on this one. Honestly, this could be a fucking good movie. Right. This one is mad. Like this one is low key mad because you can kind of see this hinted at in Toy Story in the movies, specifically the first two. So, so when Toy Story was made, one of the I believe he was Pixar's head writer at the time, Joe Ranft, and he worked on the first two Toy Story movies. I think he worked on all of them until he died, sort of mid to late 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So he was working on those. He had a friend, Mike Mozart, who was a big like toy collector guy, and like he was like massive for like the toy industry. So like he would be on the news reviewing toys on the news, telling you what to get your kids for like the Christmas seasons and whatnot. And they met up prior to Toy Story 1 when this guy Joe Ranft, who was writing the movie, would ask him all these little questions about toys. And at the time he didn't know Toy Story was being made, but he would ask him like, oh, what would make a toy of like a main character rare? Or asking like, are there any books and stories about toys coming to life and stuff like that, as like ways of researching what they were doing, obviously. And so that happens. Movie gets made. Toy Story 1 comes out. This guy Mike Mozart, he actually sees it early, because obviously he would have been friends with the head writer.
Yeah.
And after seeing it, they get together again, and they go for lunch. And he actually says, "Movie was great. I don't have any problems with any of the toy stuff, but I do have some theories with some issues with the film and some plot holes." And his main one was what happened to Andy's dad. So obviously in the movie, you've both seen Toy Story, right? Haven't you? I don't know if there's anyone who's not. It's on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you're one of like the 5 people on planet Earth who hasn't seen Toy Story. But you'll notice in the film specifically, Andy's dad's not around.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's very weird because it's like, this is going to be like, because his sister is very young in the movie. Like, she's a baby. She's clearly just been born.
That's true.
And I mean, it's probably done because, Pixar didn't want to animate any more humans at the time. But it's like, if this is so, like, clearly with his sister being this young, surely his dad and his mum must have either just gotten divorced or his dad must have just recently died. So the main issue this Mike Mozart guy had was like, he's like, oh, how can he be happy if, his dad's just died or left home? Like, how can he be happy on his first birthday without his dad?
Yeah.
And it's like, he was just like, what happened to his dad? Where is he? And apparently, this Joe Ranft guy actually had a story for it. And the story is so mad, and you would not believe it.
Okay.
So what it was is, they mention as well, like, there's no pictures of Andy's dad about anywhere. There's no mention of him. The thing is, though, apparently, according to the story here, the theory of Andy's dad, there are actually pictures of his dad in Toy Story 1. There is specifically a scene where, so first of all, here's probably the stupidest part of this theory. Andy's dad is literally just called Andy as well. He's Andy Senior. Apparently, it's Andy Senior and Andy Junior.
Oh, no, what?
Yeah, that's the part I have the issue with. That's so lazy. But yeah, apparently his dad is Andy Senior and he's Andy Junior in the film, the one we see. And so like apparently there's a scene right at the start where the scene where he slides Woody down the banister.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the background, you can see 2D hand drawn pictures of someone you're supposed to think is the Andy we're watching.
Yeah.
But something people notice is like the pictures of this child actually have glasses on, and he's missing a front tooth, which the Andy in the film isn't. And apparently these pictures are actually of his dad and not Andy. So this theory as well also adds to sort of why in Toy Story 2 they say about how Woody's like a family like heirloom.
Yeah.
So the house they're in Toy Story 1 that they're moving out of is apparently Andy's grandparents' house, not his house.
Okay.
And so the story goes, when Andy's dad was young, he was like a very sickly and poor child. And he was actually, they said as well, specifically pointed out that he was bullied by Al from Al's Toy Barn.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Whose family were quite well off because they ran a really successful farm.
Yeah.
This story all takes place within like the 1950s, early 60s sort of time.
Yeah.
And so Andy's dad was a big fan of, Woody's Roundup, the show we see in Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Which they make sure they note in Toy Story 2 was made by Cowboy Crunchy cereal.
Yeah.
So it was a way of just selling. The show was just a way of selling more cereal. But they were doing a promotion where it was like you send in certain amount of box tops from the cereal and you get a Woody doll. With the Woody doll was being produced at the time. And Andy's dad doesn't get all of the tops, but he sends in 7 and he decorates the envelope saying, "Look, my family's poor. I'm Woody's biggest fan. Please, 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 can I have the doll?" And he sends it off. Now, what happens from there is you follow the Cowboy Crunchies factory. The space travel stuff starts to go up. Kids don't talk about astronaut dolls anymore. The cowboy dolls, sorry, anymore. And Woody's Roundup gets cancelled. Merchandise stops selling. And it turns out the Woody doll, they don't actually have the Woody toys yet because they hadn't started to be produced. They only had one prototype. So they start working on new space toys and the Woody prototype goes in the bin. But the secretary working there decides that's wrong, and kids will be upset if they don't get the doll. So she picks out the doll from the trash and sends it to who she thinks should be the winner, Andy's dad.
Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Which means the reason Woody is so rare in Toy Story 2 isn't just because he's a rare toy. He's literally one of a kind. He's a prototype.
All these years, I've always wondered, is he like the only Woody out there?
It's like, the thing is, like in Toy Story 2, it's believable that say like Jessie or Bullseye or Stinky Pete would be rare because like they're minor character, they're side characters in the show.
Yeah.
But how come Woody, who's the main character in the show, how come he's a rare toy when surely he'd be the one everybody wants? And we clearly see in Toy Story 2 there's loads of merchandise. So why is the Woody toy so rare?
Yeah.
This theory explains it by saying that he is so rare because he's literally a prototype. He's a one of a kind.
The only part I think there's perhaps more than one, just because of the things that Al says. It's like it just sounds like there's more than one. But I believe that perhaps it was just only a few prototypes.
It does also make sense as to why Al is so desperate to get his hands on Woody in Toy Story 2 if he's a one of a kind that he just happens to stumble upon. After he's probably looked like everywhere for this thing.
You've blown my mind. Normally I don't this, but I like that.
Like, nobody knows how true this is because unfortunately the Joe Ranft guy actually died before he could ever confirm whether this theory was real or not. And this theory only got out there a sort of early 2010s, I believe. So anyway, but that's not where it ends. That's not where the story ends. And from here, you start to realize why this would make a fantastic movie.
This is amazing.
So the story there goes that do you remember how I mentioned earlier about Andy's dad being a sickly child?
Yes. Yeah.
Specifically, sick with polio, which was like a major disease at the time in the 1950s and 60s, and a vaccine wasn't widely produced for it until about 1962.
Yeah.
So Andy's dad has polio, and as the way it was back in the 60s, I believe, like if you had polio, all of your stuff, you sort of had to be isolated, and all of your stuff would have had to been burned. So you couldn't spread it over. Imagine, say, like today you got COVID-19, and then to stop it from spreading to someone else, you had to self-isolate, and then everything you owned had to be burned. Imagine it being like that. So what happens is they take out all of Andy's stuff, including the Woody doll, to be burnt, but Andy's dad can't stand the idea of everything he owns being burned, and he especially doesn't want the Woody doll to be burned after he just recently got it.
Yeah.
So without the use of his legs, he crawls out in the middle of the night and retrieves 3 toys: Woody, Mr. Potato Head, and Slinky.
Oh.
And he takes them and he keeps them, and eventually as he grows up he locks them away in a box and puts them away, and they're away in his parents' attic. And then specifically here it gets a bit weird, because like apparently the writer guy Durant, he specifically stated here he goes and travels to Seattle as he gets older. He recovers from polio and he goes to specifically Seattle of all places.
Okay.
Where he meets Andy's mum and gets married to her. And then while they're in Seattle, they have Andy and Molly.
Yeah.
And then after that, he actually gets something called post-polio syndrome, which is a thing where, like, if you recovered from it, you still had a chance of getting it again as an older human.
Yeah.
So just out of nowhere, you'd get polio again. And then that time with post-polio syndrome can actually be very fatal.
And that's what, yeah.
So because he gets it again, they have to move away from Seattle and go back to Andy's grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Where they go to live, and Andy makes friends there, and it's next to Sid and whatever. So they move back to Andy's grandparents' house, and Andy's dad gets worse, he's dying. And Andy's very upset. And one day he says to Andy, he takes out his wallet and there's a key in his wallet that's clearly been there for a long time. Gives it to Andy. He says, "There's a box up in the attic. I want you to take the key. I want you to get the box, bring it down. And in there, you'll find your new best friends."
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So he goes and gets the box, brings it down. He finds the box. Before he can open it, he goes to tell his dad he found it, comes back downstairs. In the 5 minutes he's been away, his dad has died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark for a Disney theory. I'll say that.
Yeah, so they go away and they have the funeral and whatever, and then they come back a few days later. Andy hasn't opened the box yet. After the funeral, whatever, he finally gets a chance to go open the box. He unlocks the box, opens it up to find Woody, Mr. Potato Head, and Slinky, the final gifts his father left to him before his father died. And it turns out, as well, that you know how Andy writes on his toy's boots his name?
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently the name Andy that's written on Woody's boot isn't the name of the Andy we watch in the film. It's the name of his father.
Oh my God. My God.
Oh.
And then we go into Toy Story 1.
Dude, that's... Oh my God.
Again, nobody knows how true this theory really is, or if this is meant to be.
I would believe it.
Nobody knows if it's canon, or if it's like what actually happens, or if it's legit. But the thing is, it does clear up so much between Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2.
I would
like, you kind of have to believe. I really believe. Yeah, that's.
I would believe it. Screw it.
I mean,
I'll believe it.
God. I mean,
apparently people who worked for Pixar around 2000 have also said that like there would be like jokes going around the office that Andy's dad had died of polio or something as well, which only helps to like confirm that maybe this is meant to be legit.
Yeah.
And my idea is just like, if Pixar have had this idea since the 90s, why have they never done something with it? This would be such a good movie.
The problem is, though, it's for Pixar, it's very dark, isn't it? Like, you know,
yeah,
Dad died of polio.
But it's
yes,
I feel like this would just make for a very good film. Like, even if it's not Pixar, I feel like this would make for like a good live action film.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think a live action film that would be awesome.
Obviously, it'd have to be made and produced by Disney, but like,
yeah,
Pixar would have to have a hand in making it. But like,
you've blown my mind. That is
again, like, it's not really a conspiracy, obviously, because it's like, conspiracy of Andy's dad. Ugh. But it's like, it's a theory that goes around and nobody knows if it's true or not. But apparently, it was originally put forward by the head writer of Pixar. So,
mind
I'll
blown.
believe it. Okay, I'll believe it. I'm like, yeah, screw it.
but yeah, I found that one. I thought that was a mad one. I didn't even plan to talk about it here. That's just something like I know, and it's like, I'm obsessed with like that lost media type of thing. Like, so,
it's really interesting because you want to know the backstory to something.
in my opinion, it also explains. It also explains to me, sort of like, this might be a stretch, but it also explains to me why in the first Toy Story he's so attached to Buzz Lightyear. Because when you think about it, so it's got to be his first birthday after his dad's died. Yeah. So maybe the reason he gets so attached to Buzz Lightyear is because that's the first real nice surprise he's gotten since his dad died.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he gets so attached to him. It also explains why he's so hesitant to give Woody away in Toy Story 3 as well. It's Bonnie then loses a one-of-a-kind toy in Toy Story 4 because of a spork.
Bro, Toy Story 4.
We don't need to talk about Toy Story 4 here.
Toy Story 5.
I've not seen Toy Story 4 yet, but I've heard it's not good.
It's okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I just thought that was a cool one to bring up here.
That's awesome.
Any more little fun theories or whatever? Cool.
I have empty. My brain's empty for I'm just shocked.
By the way, we realise how weird this episode has been. We've gone from talking about like actual conspiracy theories to talking about movie theories. But it's the M.K.P podcast. You knew we were going to go on a tangent.
Yeah, it's what we
have one theory. We can. I have one little mini theory. It's to do with like public and not public. Just read the theory out. So basically, it's to do with mirrors. Apparently, it's to say that how skinny mirrors trick women into buying more clothes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's
just like that's kind of the thing with like marketing and like propaganda and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, there's a load of these. We need to do another conspiracy theory special again. Yeah, we've got so many more I'd love to talk about that we just don't have time for today.
Yeah.
But do we have any more last minute ones that we can talk about, or because I think we're going to get ready to wrap up in a minute.
I've got what I've just thought of. It's not. I don't know really anything about it, but I don't really know if it's even a conspiracy theory. It could be true, but I've heard that on adverts at the corner of the TV there are small pixelated adverts. I don't know if anyone's heard of that.
No, I haven't.
You just have like a little pixel-sized advert in the corner, so you can barely see it.
That's what's going to like subliminal messaging and stuff.
Yeah, basically that. I think I'll probably talk about it more next time because I don't know a thing really about it, but I've heard of that, and if that's true, then that's scary. Really creepy. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, boys, I have one more conspiracy theory to wrap up the podcast with.
Give it away.
Do it.
So the M.K.P podcast,
Yeah.
We are all not real. We're all robots.
Oh, that's not conspiracy. That's a fact.
And the real person behind the podcast, who has made all of us AI, is actually Robert, the robot, who's not a robot. He's an evil man. He's bad guy.
Evil Rob.
He's bad guy.
Evil King Rob, King of the North, King of the robots.
So yeah, we're all robots, or are we?
Yeah. We would never know that. That's the thing.
We won't know.
We would never know.
People come up to us.
We're definitely all robots. We've even had glitches before, like when Paul said the glue that holds the sandwich together. That was a glitch.
Yeah, and I remember that sort of. My circuit malfunctioned.
Yeah.
When we all malfunction when we're laughing at bloody stupid reviews on Letterboxd. Anyway, this was a weird episode.
This, I'll tell you what, guys, this has been one of my favourites, though.
This has been one of my favorite episodes so far, to be honest.
definitely
It's
up
probably the
there.
most podcasty episode we've ever done, which I know is
Yeah.
kind of weird considering this is a podcast. But I know we've gone from like actual weird, creepy conspiracy theories to, oh, did you know this about Andy's dad from Toy Story? And yeah, so we hope you enjoyed this strange but special episode of the MKP podcast. We've got a couple of ideas coming up, haven't we, guys?
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah,
We have an idea from last episode that we couldn't do because Paul had to bail.
Sorry.
So so we've got a few ideas coming up. Make sure you stay tuned. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, this feels weird. We're recording this episode very early in the day. It kind of feels weird to be.
That's what feels even weirder
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. By the way, one minor note from the last episode. Premiere Pro in Your Mask is the weirdest episode title we've ever had.
The mask.
I don't know if it's the worst, but it's definitely the weirdest. I think Double Digits is still the worst title we've ever had. But Premiere Pro in Your Mask is definitely up there.
It's just random names, just to come up.
Yeah. What are we calling this one?
Quite a conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theories, and then in brackets, movie theory special.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. Anyway, MKP Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Anchor, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and Radio Public.
Boom.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Well,
Make
with
sure
that.
you go follow all of those.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, please. Subscribe to us on YouTube and leave a nice comment, because why not? Or a bad comment. We don't care.
If it's bad, let it be constructive criticism.
All bad comments go directly to Kush. So if you have anything negative to say, please direct them towards towards him.
I'll be happy to read all those negative comments.
He's probably got the thickest ego of the three of us. Not the thickest ego, the thickest skin of the three of us.
It's got the thing.
Paul and I think Paul and I have very fragile egos. So please be nice.
The thing is, if you were to give me bad comments, I would say some controversial things to you. So
if you were to give us bad comments, Kush would probably just say thanks for the feedback. I would probably ignore it, and Paul would go on a comment tirade against you.
On a bad day, yes.
I do not want to mess with Paul.
We are all very different people, but right, let's wrap it up there, boys. This has been the MKP podcast. This has been the conspiracy theory special. Very soon we will be, and I can't wait for this. Very soon, the next special episode we are all going to be in the same place, boys.
Yeah.
That might not be too far away. If that's not the next episode, it will actually be the episode. It'll probably be the episode after or something like that, because we want to do that one soon. We just need to find a date and a time for it, really. And we get together, record a podcast, and we've got a plan for that episode that we're not going to spoil here, because it is probably one of the strangest ideas we've ever had.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to go with it anyway. But yeah, I've been Matt, joined by and
Paul. Hello.
Don't say hello. We're finishing the podcast, boy. Why are you saying hello?
Just give myself
Hello for. We're done.
Oh, don't home.
All right. See you later, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.